Well, welcome to week 4, everybody.
Yay, week 4.
Yeah.
Soon to be week 5.
As per usual, there's no set agenda for these. This is just a chance to listen, talk, chat, connect, etc.
Okay.
So
Matt,
wherever you want to go, we go.
Matt, April vacation. Is that still April vacation?
April vacation is 100% April vacation. In no way, shape, or form should we be assigning work for our learners, and in no way, shape, or form should you be doing any schoolwork either.
Okay, just asking because it's weird times, and I just wanted to know.
Oh.
Parents might want something every day.
Oh, I know, and I know there are some.
You're on vacation.
Yeah, there are some districts I know that are considering just kind of working straight through to go to just get done. But the way that the decision's been talked about so far, and I don't see it changing because it's been pretty set in stone, is that nope, we take that week off because it will be beyond well deserved.
Okay. It gives new meaning to staycation, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Week 4.
Hi, everybody.
Hi,
Hey.
Jess.
Hey, Jeff.
Afternoon, Jess.
Hi.
Getting excited for Friday.
So are we.
Yeah, it won't be much fun if you're the one getting it though. But hey, Erica, how you doing?
Hi.
What
I
if
don't think it will be, but I don't really care either way. It's fine.
Would it be okay if I submitted a limerick?
Of course.
Because I have some limericks.
So the funny story was, it was supposed to all be our original, as we were talking about ideas, we were just going to ask everyone to submit a haiku. And,
Oh, okay.
and then when I had to Google exactly what made a haiku, I texted Greg, I'm like, I don't think we can do that. I don't know. I think counting syllables might be a little bit too much for some of us. So we just said poems.
That would definitely be a parent engagement activity.
No, we have to simplify.
Challenge for parents. It's parent too.
I haven't bought a single book in 4 weeks.
Whoa,
I
Shannon.
know.
Whoa. Probably because you're worried Amazon doesn't know your home address.
No, Amazon does know my home address. I've had some other things come to my house, but I haven't bought a single book. Sad.
All that book money's going to toilet paper.
No, I had plenty of toilet paper. I'm a hoarder. Well, no, I shouldn't say a hoarder, because I had it long before we had to stay. It doesn't matter.
Sure.
Doesn't matter. That's a conversation for another time. No, I have 40 rolls of toilet paper. I'm all set.
Right as all this stuff was happening, and that started to go on a run, we just started running out anyway. So my wife went and put on an order, and she wanted to get stuff that was more ecologically friendly and didn't come in the plastic wrapping, etc. And the only way we could get it was if she ordered 64 rolls.
Right.
So that's we're overflowing right now.
There's a difference.
That's a
between
bad
going
word to
the
use with this
store-
conversation.
Yeah, there's a difference between going to the store and buying every single roll of toilet paper and having it because you look for a good deal or earth friendly. There's a difference. Yeah, Amazon has, I've ordered a few things like dog food. I told my husband I didn't want him messing around in the grocery store looking for dog food, so that's being delivered to the house. And it has to sit in the garage for a couple of days. Then it can come in. Oh well.
I'm going through withdrawals for BAM.
Yeah, well that's
Just
haven't been out to eat in 4 weeks. There's a lot of things. Grateful I have a check coming in. I know a lot of families don't have that.
Mm-hmm. So I have a question to pose those of you who have school-age children at home with you now. So in discussions with the different grade levels that I work with, I know there's a big concern about our kids being set up for success at home. Do they have any kind of structure and all that? So I'm kind of curious as to what's happening within our own staff homes and how you feel it's going, but also how you have set your kids up. Do you have a schedule? Is it more of when they feel like working on it or what? So I see Jen is excited to answer.
This is a great opportunity to use the raise hand feature.
You're
You're
muted, Jen.
Jen.
Oh, unmute Jen.
Am I
There you go.
unmuted?
Now you
Okay.
are.
You're in.
So the first week, her teacher sent home, excuse my dog, he sees a crow. Sent home a packet and it had mostly a lot of math, but it was on just one thing on time because that's what they were doing before they left. And so I was kind of like doing that and then my own thing. And she was challenging. I'll just put it that way since she's in the other room. So the next week she gave us, with all those online things that came on, we tried some of the online. The Happy Numbers is a new math one, Prodigy, and I have learned a lot about my child. She hates computer learning. She doesn't like it. She wants pen and paper. She wants to be able to see it. So Jenna had given me on Teacher Pay Teacher, it was a 3rd grade remote learning. So I went on and looked at it and it is fabulous. There's 5 things she has to do every day. One of them is a reading. One of them is like nouns or, something to do with grammar. There's a reading comprehension. There's usually 2 maths, and then there's usually like another activity. And so each day she looks at them and she knows what she has to get done for the day. And I let her decide when she's doing them, what she wants to do first. And she knows by 7:30 they have to be done. So she was doing the last one at 7:25 last night, but she knows she physically sees what she has to get done in a day. Right now she has 3 more she needs to do by 7:30 and she will get it done, but I don't give her a set time. She chooses when she wants to do them and when she does them, and has worked much better.
So choice within structure, but are the teachers checking to make sure it's done every day? What would happen if Taylor didn't finish it within that day?
She's not, they give us, at this district, her teacher sends some like targets that they should be working on, and then like some online activities, but she fights me all the way with anything online. So I'm just kind of doing my own thing. And they don't really ask.
On YouTube, I've been watching these.
Well, I have 3 kids in my house right now. I have an elementary, middle level, and a high school
I've been watching
foreign exchange student living with us this year. It's been interesting this time.
So
The middle school level, she's 6th grade, and the teachers do everything basically online through Google Classroom, etc. They set up times to meet with her. What we do at home,
and it sort of describes humans of having the highest stats.
I'm hearing some of them in the background.
Involving their craft.
There we go. Thank you. But we've set up a daily schedule that we pretty much go by every day. All 3 of them come down and we have a morning meeting and look at the schedule. But for our middle schooler and our high schooler, it's kind of these bigger moments, like we have outside time every morning, or physical activity time every morning. And so it's like everyone takes a break during there, because like my high schooler will just sit in her room and do stuff all day. But to get them outside, to get them breaks, we set up schedules like that, pretty consistent every day. But for the content, the middle schoolers pretty much taken care of. Her teachers do what they need to do through Google Classroom, and she's fine with it. She has a device, and she just absolutely loves having control over her entire learning strategy and can get it done when it needs to get done. My first grader, let's see, how can I put this? She's a little more challenging, and she has had almost no connection with her teacher, and her teacher has barely emails once a week. And so it's been left pretty much up to us to figure out what we're doing. So every morning I go downstairs to where we have our schedule and I figure out, all right, what are we doing today for her in terms of literacy or math or science or whatever.
I am horrible with consistency. I need the school day for consistency. But.
Allison.
Yes.
Hi, I just wanted to say hi.
Hi.
I miss seeing your face.
I know. I miss all of you. For my kids, I have two very children, as Matt does. We all do, I'm sure. One of them can be extremely independent, and she knows what, is expected of her. And she's really good at budgeting her time and setting her own boundaries. And so I just have to check in to make sure she's all set. She does get a little panicky, like she overlooked something on Google Classroom that she didn't know was there, and she just recognized it, and it was, so she didn't do it for a whole week. So this morning it was all repairing that. It's going to be okay. We'll get it in when we, and then we have to budget. Like, she's very structured, so we have to figure out how we would get it in before vacation, because that's her personality. The other, I have to tell her it's a half an hour of work time on this. And then during that half an hour, we have to have several reminders of it's 15 more minutes of work time on this. And then with 10 minutes left, it's 10 minutes more work time on this. So we would spend the day kind of spinning. So both of my kids need a structure, but their structure looks different.
Yeah, we had some conversations with my first grader's teacher because she wasn't doing very well in math, meaning that she was doing fine with the concepts, but was completely all over the place and not focusing and moving all everywhere. And then we come to find out that the whole thing that it was the worksheets. And when you put the worksheets in front of her to do it, she's not doing it. So we've been doing math and trying to find math in different ways. But that's, I think, one of the things that we've learned and are going to make sure we communicate to our teachers is that you can't sit this kid down with that modality. It doesn't work for her. And in fact, she'll fight against it every step of the way. And then that's where I'm missing my hairdresser to get the grays out. So it's one of those, like, yeah, I don't know. Does that answer your question at all, Holly? You're muted. You're still muted, Holly.
You're muted. Got to do your microphone.
Okay, I knew that. I just forgot. So yeah, I was just trying to poll the audience, and a lot of it is wondering, how do we support the parents of Ridgeview kids I'm a firm believer that kids need structure, and I love the choice within the structure approach. But kids on their own, it's entropy. Left to themselves, they're going to tend to a state of disorder, that they do need some intervention. And I keep hearing that a lot of kids self-reporting or telling their friends who are telling their parents that there is really no structure at all at home. And some of those kids want the structure and realize they need it, and so they are connecting with their teachers, but others we have heard nothing from. So what do we do?
Well, I have one idea. So I think we spend a lot of time on robocalls, and I know we've got an audience on our Facebook page, but I think that parents are always looking for little tips and techniques, including not stressing about homework. We've done a great job giving that message, but we could also emphasize the importance of structure and routine and predictability for kids, especially when outside of there, they don't have no control of what's going on. So the value of that. Doesn't have to be lengthy and wordy, but just a reminder that setting aside structured time for kids has value.
Does anyone know if the kids still have the shut off on their computers so that they can't be on them all night? Is that still set up, Jen? That is?
Yes.
Okay, good.
It is. Oh, my daughter's on it quite a bit. I've had to take it away.
It should shut off at 10, or at
It
least
should shut off at 10
Should shut off at 10.
and go back on at 6.
Okay.
The whole
If
device
it's not,
or the internet
if
access?
it's not, let us know. Karina can fix that remotely, I think. Can't she, Jen?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not your Wi-Fi, but her laptop shuts off at 10.
Okay. My husband gets up to go to work and he goes and sees her still doing stuff.
No,
That's
it should be off at 10 and back on at 6.
okay.
Hi, Taylor.
I think we better double check with Corinna on that, just because I remember when all this started, like a lot of the restrictions and stuff for students that didn't have access, they were lifted, and maybe something happened within all that. So we should definitely check with her.
She'll be in our next meeting at 2.
Right.
So we'll double check.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, that might be something worth a little bit more conversation about too, because thinking from just an equity lens, there might be some need, if for some reason, for some kids to have that access. Might be some only time for some of the older kids to do their work is either before that or after that time. So it's just one of those. The percentage and likelihood is very low, but it's still just worth a little conversation and thought about making sure that everyone still has the access that they need.
I think for sure, if a student or parent can justify with good reason that a kid needs to be up past 10 o'clock, then we can certainly do that. But
That's fair.
I think a case by case basis for sure.
I wonder, Holly, going along with your question, and I didn't comment about my kids because I don't know. I feel like my kids are an anomaly, to be quite honest. I haven't had to do a whole heck of a lot. They're like on it. They get up in the morning, they do their work. My daughter, I have to restrain from doing too much. So anyways, that aside, but I'm wondering two things. One is the information that we're all sending out. I wonder if we need to look at that from the parents' standpoint. You know, I know I've shared that I've become overwhelmed sometimes from an educator's standpoint, from all the resources that are out there and available and ways we can do things. And so I'm wondering if there is a way, I don't know. I'm trying to formulate my question. You know, just as an example, I sent out an email a couple weeks ago explaining that I do Zoom meetings on Mondays and Fridays at 1 with my students. And I didn't hear a word back from a single teacher reciprocating that. And I don't mean that cruelly, but I was trying to open up lines of communication, thinking maybe somebody else would say, oh, I do mine at 12, and that doesn't give kids much time in between, or, you know, something to that effect. And so if that's happening in our bubble, I wonder what's happening for the parents otherwise, if that makes sense. And so not only do we need to be helping students with a schedule, but maybe information overload from the parents' perspective too.
So interestingly enough, and Allie can speak to this a little bit too, we talked about this in length yesterday at we do a K2 kind of combined common planning time. And I think one thing that we kind of stressed is the need to think outside of our grade level bubble and think that we have families that have 3 or 4 kids at home. So if I'm scheduling a literacy Zoom and a math Zoom twice a week, and my second child's teacher's doing the same thing, and my third child's doing the same thing, that's 6 to 8 Zoom sessions a week. That's a lot for families, and teachers are looking at us as the professionals, even though we're saying it's not mandatory, you don't have to do it. They are thinking, well, they're the professionals, I do have to do it, and if I'm not, I'm failing as a parent. And they're feeling a lot of that added pressure. And so we talked a little bit, and I felt like I was kind of talking out both sides of my mouth, because we started this process like, you need to check in. I want to know who you're not talking to. If you haven't heard from them, I want you to email them, call them, text them. But now I think parents are feeling a little bit micromanaged. And so we just need to think a little bit about how we're delivering information and how often we're doing those check-ins, and be a little mindful of the fact that some of them, a lot of them, if they do have a job, are still working because they're gas station attendants, they're in healthcare, they're Walmart clerks. I mean, so it's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah, 4th grade just started yesterday doing the, I don't know if they chose math. I saw the posting today. So they've decided to do one content one day, one content another, and that limits the amount of time kids have to sit. Occasionally we throw something fun like Mystery Doug is live today. So we put that out as an option if parents wanted to do that, but they don't have to. And that's what we'll talk about tomorrow with 3rd grade when we have our meeting.
So would it be helpful to have a working spreadsheet going of when everyone is having their meeting, like all the teachers and administrators and stuff are having these meetings, so we don't double schedule?
Yep, I agree.
Okay. All right. Well.
Okay. I know last week there was at least 2 or 3 double bookings that I had, and I know Jen does a Facebook Live math lesson every day, and there was at least one teacher that scheduled something for the 7th graders at the same time, and so she lost 3/4 of her audience. So that would be good.
With that being, I need to leave right now to go to Megan. So I'm going to say goodbye to folks. Nice seeing you. But I love the idea of a spreadsheet. So I love to be able to see kids too, especially from my standpoint. So when I can get into a classroom or a Zoom with kids in particular, really valuable. But I have no clue when they're happening. And there is a lot of overlap like we've been talking about. So I appreciate you spearheading that, Matt.
So I just put a link into the chat. I just created a spreadsheet.
Cool.
And people can just start filling that in. We could also, if there are other columns or things, other information that we need, we can problem solve that and put that together right now, and then ship it off to the rest of the teachers, everyone else in Ridgeview, to say, hey, if you're having meetings with your kiddos, with your content, etc., put it in here.
Fantastic. Thanks. Bye, folks.
So there's an underlying assumption that if Jen has something like say at 10 o'clock and someone else has something at 10 o'clock, they should get together and have a conversation around, we both can't schedule at 10 o'clock because of the kids involved. Is that how that works?
I would say yes, if it's the same grade level, especially.
Okay.
Like not having Sue Griffith and Kathy Wyman both doing a Zoom at the same time.
Sharon, it's a little,
I know
it is different for us because
yeah, it is different. It's not so much different. I don't know if fifth grade's doing that. My only conversation with them was around those kids that they do a lot of support for during the school day, and how are you supporting those kids to get their work done when we know that they needed heavy support for you during the day? It's just a different conversation.
Hey, speaking of fifth grade, Sharon, do you have a common planning meeting with them every week?
I haven't. They're all over the place. I need to get back on with them. There's like 4 different platforms that they're putting information out on.
Okay.
So yeah, we need to have that conversation. I'll schedule a Zoom because I know
That's really tricky as a parent.
I know it is.
really
I know it is. And it's, I don't know how to solve that problem. I do know Cassidy can do it because she got Bryant on for the 4th grade one. So I'll put something out. We'll have that conversation. And I'll probably invite you, Jess, too.
Invite me and Greg.
Yeah.
He and I were like, you know, because we know who we're all checking in with, and I'm like,
Okay.
I haven't
Well, I
really
will do that.
Okay. All right. Speaking of Greg, we have a schedule.
I gotta go to another meeting.
Me too.
Yeah. Bye.
Sharon, if you think that it would be helpful for me to be on, just invite me too.
Yeah. No, I do want to invite you. We've only had 2 with the 3rd and the 4th grade, and I wanted them to get comfortable talking.
Sure.
Just came this week because we wanted to talk about AB, but yeah, that would be good.
Again, I've said this to you before many times, I never want to take away or detract from the meeting.
Right.
If I'm more of a
But
distraction,
sometimes we look at each
I
other.
don't want to be
Yeah.
there. So, but if I can be of assistance or help, I would love to
Okay.
be there for
Thank
whatever.
you. Zoom grade 5. Okay, I will send them I know they're checking email, and I know it's tricky because I'm having a hard time keeping up with where they're all over the place. I'm also worried about, and I haven't seen more than Jen's, but what's being asked of them, I assume is quite a bit, but I don't know because I don't get to see it. There's things that I'm not on.
I don't want to turn this into a platform for complaining, and I'm not, please know I'm not complaining, but one of the things as we move forward with this plan, as we know it's probably going to be longer, the governor's actually speaking right now, isn't she? 2:00, around what might be. I don't know if she's going to have any insight to the rest of the year or any of that, but one of my biggest concerns with the things that I'm seeing at middle level, having 2 middle level, or, you know, I have a 5th grader and an 8th grader, is that for my 5th grader, it's kind of a one size fits all as far as the content reading. And there's a lot of informational text that they're having to read, which is totally appropriate. Like they have this kind of theme of information. Everybody's doing informational text. And so as an instructional coach, I appreciate that theme. My worry is for students like my own child who get intervention during the day in the areas of reading. If I wasn't here to read much of the content with her,
Right.
I don't know how much of that would be done. So that's really concerning to me as we move forward and having, you know, so much digital information and that really being the only snapshot of what these kids are doing. That's tricky for kids that aren't all reading at grade level.
Right. No, I get that. And that's why I asked them about the kids. Like, I know Addie has supported home, but there are other kids that they see every single day, recess, RTI, structured study, it doesn't matter, that I know they've seen constantly to keep on top of their work. And I'm hearing from the couple of times that we've had conversations, they're worried, so-and-so isn't turning anything in. And how are you supporting them? Because you had to support them when they came to school every day. So how are you reaching out?
Have any of those texts been through something like Newsella, or is it all just because
I don't think we had Newsella when they did that.
What's that?
I don't think we had Newsella when they did it. I think Sue and Eileen are purposely trying to link some of their content, and that's why they're heavy on informational text. At least I think so. At least I know they did the first packet. I don't know about the second. I wasn't there at school. But that was what they had tried to do, was to link what they were doing, a little bit of social studies with their literacy, so it wasn't so overwhelming. But yeah, I'm not surprised it feels heavy.
The only reason why I bring up the bye Marcy, good seeing you.
Yeah.
The only reason why I bring up the Newsella is because it actually meets those exact needs that Allie's talking about.
Right.
Is that there's going to be content on there that's going to be related to what they're doing, but a teacher can get the information of both the Lexile level and the potential grade level, reading level, etc., of the learners, and so then can find the text that's appropriate for that student and meet that student at their need for the reading text. That's one of the entire reasons why I was really pushing to get this tool. So that might be one of those things to connect with the middle level learners or teachers, or even third. It starts off really grade 3, is level 3, and it goes all the way up to high school, to be using as a tool to support those learners who are. So it's not just a one size fits all, like you said, Allie, or cookie cutter, whichever approach. I forget which one you said.
Yeah, and I think some of this comes back, like Allie said, as we move forward. And then again, I'm hearing something in the wind about, could be longer, could be even next fall if it comes back around again. We really do need to look more at platforms and how to deliver instruction, because it is tricky. I feel grateful because New York State took Zoom away. They can't use it because of the hacking that they've had. At least that's what I'm reading from Twitter and Education Weekly and that kind of stuff. So we're pretty fortunate that way.
Yeah, this came up in one of the middle meetings I met with yesterday, and or maybe it was the pre-K meeting. I don't know. They're all kind of blend together.
Right. No, I get it.
And there was some concern because I believe RSU 19, they also banned Zoom, did a flat out ban. And my whole point is that it's not the tool is actually okay. It's just that some people don't know how to completely use it securely yet. And so I don't think we need to ban it. I'm not in a position to say we ban it because it's too powerful of a tool for us to just outright ban. There might be some things we have to change, like passwords, if we have to do that. But
I know there's a waiting.
They're going to Google Meets, which I got to be honest is not as good and is far less secure, because you can set up the meeting, and then once the host leaves, if the teacher is a host, the kids can stay on. So then it's no longer secure. It's no longer monitored. And that becomes a bit of an issue. My daughter found that out because that's what her teachers were using, and then that became a thing. So now they're all using Zoom for that reason. But they are going back to Google. So it's become Zoom staying as long as I have a voice for it, and that's heard.
No, like you said, with the password in the waiting room, it should be helpful. Fourth grade's going to try a whole fourth grade Zoom because they aren't used to doing it. And then we also know a lot of our kids don't, or they're feeling like a lot of the kids don't have access. So if we get a huge turnout, then they're going to do it in different ways, but they haven't tried it yet.
Yep.
So that's one of the things that we've encouraged them to at least put that out there and give it a go and see what happens. So.
Well, you can relay the message too that if they ever need a guinea pig, just let me know.
Yep.
Happy to guinea pig.
In third grade, Melissa's pretty good at it. I've been having her set up the meetings. So she's in charge of all of that. But fourth grade, I've been doing it. I think I'll turn that over pretty quick too. I think they can do that now. Every group is different.
That's for sure.
I don't have any questions.
Anything to share at all? Whatever.
Nope.
I'm probably one of the
Reason
few
for
people in the
consent.
world who has not watched Tiger King.
Oh, we saw it. Binge watched it. We thought it was a little too long, a little too dragged out.
I've seen like 5 minutes of the first episode by Ellie, and haven't gone back to it yet.
Yep.
I haven't even attempted to watch it.
It's not. It's like trashy TV. Yep. I had a friend that used to watch Jerry Springer because she said it made her family feel better. She goes, it makes my family look good. So, yeah.
I'll tell you one
Yeah.
thing that I've really found about this is since everyone around the country is now focused on using this kind of means for communication,
Mhm.
I have been able to connect more with friends who I haven't talked to in years.
I'm not surprised.
Because everyone's just like, why haven't we done this sooner? This has been totally available to us. Why didn't we do this? And we're all like, oh yeah, why didn't we? So I've had, I've been able to reconnect with just a lot of people, and that's one of those underlying kind of, lack of a better term, blessings that this is brought.
So think about this, Matt. We have some children that don't like to come to school.
Yeah.
We could use this platform to get their instruction at home through the classroom, right? If you had a way to have a camera, they could. And would that count as them being in school?
Well, we'd have to talk about things like attendance and time.
Right.
The way that the law is set up, attendance is all based on minutes of the day.
Right. Okay.
So we'd have to figure something out like that. But it's bringing up a great question. Why can't we?
Or even for homeschool parents who, yeah, I know, I'm just wondering, I'm thinking about it more for like the young lady that has the robot.
Yeah.
That this might be a better way and less expensive than a robot. And also for kids who have health issues and can't come.
Yep.
To school.
Yep.
This would be a good platform to deliver their instruction versus maybe a tutor.
One thing that I've heard people say too is that this could actually be proving the end of all snow days.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't.
Which I disagree with. I think snow days in a way are good because I want my kids to grow up with snow days.
Right.
Because that's an important part of growing up, in my humble, weird opinion.
Well, and I think teachers actually love their snow days too. So, you know what I'm saying? There are certain days like it's nice not to have to just sit at home and have coffee and sit in front of your TV or do whatever you want versus having to teach. But yeah, the implications, people talk about this could be the end of school, but you still need that social piece. So and I'm not sure that this will ever replace school, but I think I think it has some good ramifications, I do know that we need to learn more about how to use these and teach from these, and at least with the teachers that I work with, beyond what's being done.
Well, if we
I know
think
there's
about,
more that can be done.
Yeah, think about the flipped classroom model, which is we do our instruction through like a YouTube or through a video chat or through something where the students can get that level of direct instruction at home, and then they come in, Erica, and they come into the classroom and they do the solving of the problems. They do the application of things. So, and then there were two. So that's been around for a decade.
Yeah.
There's really it's just been a belief that, well, no, we can't do that, or we shouldn't do that, or I don't want to do that. It's not that it can't be done. It's been being done for 10 years. And I know that because when I was teaching high school last, and I ended in 2012, that's what I was doing.
Yeah, there was a man, I took my I call it principal school. I went to principal school with this guy from Brewer, and he did an honors group where they had a lot of stuff they did outside of class, and they met every Friday to do some discussions. So it was pretty cool, some of the things he had going then. I do see great implications for all this. It's just, yeah, being thrown into it and being a little nervous and the separate platforms. I'm finding Facebook has worked better than Class Dojo. Third grade's using Class Dojo and they're not getting the same amount of responses from families. That it
Why is
appears-
Facebook working better than Class Dojo, do you think?
I think it's just easier, more familiar for parents to respond to. They have Facebook on their phones. They have Class Dojo too, but it seems to work differently because I know they're getting more responses now. And like Pam set up a flip grid because the kids know how to use those. Those are seeming to be a little more friendly or fun for responses. But there was a lot of concern in the beginning, and they've been wonderful. They're still posting by their environment. So fourth grade is pretty generic because kids are all over the place and they're trying to make it easy. Third grade is trying to post by their environments, which is also good because Meredith will get on and she'll say, all right, math class, this is what you have to do, and literacy class, this is what, so it's all being posted. And then Pam gets on and she does the same thing, and Cheryl does the same thing, and Melissa does the same thing. So I feel like that's pretty good. But they're not feeling like anybody's responding back. Like they'll put a question out there, nobody responds, like, oh yeah, they've seen it, but they don't reply back to anything. And I know I had maybe it was last week, it was either Pam or Meredith, and maybe it was both, sent a little meme, doing one of these things that, hey, I finally had a parent respond to me, a kid, they're responding, but it's still minimal.
Sure.
Like Liam Saunders, Liam,
Yep.
Allison's son, Liam, it would make sense that he would respond. So, and I'm looking at my spelling because it's the only thing I'm responsible for as a teacher. So I put my spelling out every week, and I have only Liam Saunders, who's done his, and Connor, who's done 28 activities but didn't take the test. So that kind of cracks me up. But he's doing spelling and whatever. And that's the least of my worries, spelling, out of everything. I know it's important, but there's so much else they have to do. It's just tricky, that communication piece. They're really, really, really missing that.
Yeah.
So
Well,
I just find Facebook is easier.
That's one of the things that I think we really need to be focusing on is we're really understanding that the social, the communication, the connection piece is really important. So if it is that way, not only how are we connecting, but how are we getting our students to collaborate on a project, on something to solve, on a problem? How are we making that happen? If they're all independent, just doing it on their own, that's not kind of the creatures we are. Right. And so then how do we get them to collaborate? And there are ways to do it. We just have to become comfortable with them ourselves to put them out there for the kids.
Right. There's some other things we talked about. So like I was sharing earlier that Jess had suggested after our last Zoom that we start talking about an A day and a B day because our parents are getting overwhelmed. They're feeling like there's so much for the kids to do and focus. And so I just put that out in an email. Hey, next Zoom, let's talk about this. And so they're like, and I said, I used Jess's terminology, math, science, social studies. And they said, oh my gosh, do we need to do science and social studies? We're not doing. So when you put something out to that group, they take it as the gospel. So you have to be careful of that. There's many ways to do this. What I was talking about was just dividing up. So I said, no, we don't have to. It's just dividing up our content. So they're not doing everything all day long, especially our struggling readers. Someone like Liam, he can do it all, no problem. But some of our other kids, to get them through all their reading and their spelling and their writing and their math, I wouldn't want to be a parent in some, because some of the kids, it's tricky. So
it is. It is very tricky, and especially for students who don't know what to do, or parents who don't know what to do.
Right.
It becomes even more challenging.
It feels like the parents feel like the little bit of interaction I've had, because I do get on Facebook, I do get on Class Dojo, I post, I respond, I send things out. It feels good. There's just not as much. However, they don't necessarily respond to us during the school year anyways. They really don't. We really don't have a ton of parent interaction unless we initiate it during the school year. So I guess that's something else to think about. But all right, well, I told Rhonda I'm going to be going to the Zoom session for I2I, but probably not till 5.
Okay.
Because I have a Zoom session at 4. So.
Okay.
And that's about where I'm at.
All right.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, so I will see you at 4:30 at the, at 5 o'clock at the Zoom session.
Indeedy-roo.
All right, see you
See you later.
later. Yep, thanks, yeah, bye. Leave the meeting.
And then there was one.